to share with us. Vivian, are you okay with this being recorded? Okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
great.
Okay.
Take it away, Vivian.
Okay. So I'm gonna be kind of touching on Pastor Frank asked me to touch on my faith. So I'm gonna be kind of talking about growing up in the Methodist faith in the church and kind of what my faith means to me now. Um, so I was baptized and I grew up in the Methodist church. I actually went to the church that my dad went to when he was younger too, and my grandma also goes there. And I was confirmed in the 8th grade. Actually also went to preschool there, so I think it was 2 years that I went to preschool there. So that was kind of my first introduction into the church. Um, I attended youth group and throughout middle school and high school. So, and I was really involved in our youth group. I helped plan events. I was when I was like junior and senior, I was one of the only like older youth, and so our youth pastor kind of delegated certain things to me, and so I kind of like took charge that way. And I also attended Sierra Service Project. I don't know if any of you guys know what that is, but it's like summer camp, Methodist faith, and I went for 4 years. I went to I went to San Diego, LA, and Smith River twice. I went to Smith River twice, way up there, Northern California. Um, and actually, during the summer of 2017, after freshman year of college, I was a staff in training. So I shadowed like the staff members in San Diego for Sierra Service Project. So I got to kind of see the other side of the camp, which was really cool to see how everything works, and it's just like college students running it, which I had no idea when I was in high school. So that was kind of funny. And then I actually also for 2 summers in college after freshman year and after sophomore year, I went back to my hometown church and I was a custodian. I was hired as a custodian for the summer for I think like 3 months each. So that was nice to get to go back to the church, and we had a new pastor, so I got to meet him and be introduced to any other new members and stuff like that. So yeah, I've pretty much always been involved in my church community and have made connections within the congregation. One of my closest friends, her name's Helen, and she's a lot older than me. She's like 70 something, but she's like one of my closest friends, and she's really good about staying in touch and being involved with the youth. She actually gave like my sister graduated from high school and I graduated obviously, and she gave us like little gifts, which was really nice. So it's nice to stay in touch with some of the members of the congregation, still like have those relationships, even though I mean I've kind of gone back here and there, but not really for the past 4 years. So that's really nice to have those relationships and friendships still at my home church. um, and yeah, so it's been nice to do that. um, that's a little bit about my background in the church, how I've pretty much always been affiliated with the Methodist faith. I never really understood why. Like I felt like a lot of people were Catholic and went to like Catholicism, and I never really knew why I didn't, and why I was a Methodist. I didn't really understand until I realized that yes, we are Christian and stuff like that. So that's just another anecdote. um, the first thing I kind of want to talk about is like my faith and like growing up in the church. As you've seen, I've like pretty much always been active, but it would go in waves of like how often or how involved I would be. Sometimes I would be like really involved for like a few months, and then I'd kind of just not go for a few weeks or like a month or so. And I guess that's just normal for me, at least, just because I think that's also how my spirituality and like faith with God is as well. um Whether I like really believed or like was questioning God, if God was real. I remember asking my dad how do we know like he's real? And he's like, well, you just have to like pray and like know and like see those signs from God. And I think questioning God and like even the church was like is still like a big part in my faith journey. It's like comes and goes in waves, and it's hard to know when you pray to God or you like ask for certain things, or um if you're like scared or nervous about things. It's difficult for to know like when the things he gives you aren't tangible, and I feel like that's really true in like our society now. Like we want instant gratification with like social media and like whatever else it may be, and so like sometimes those things that we don't receive right away, it can be like, well, is he even listening to me? Or like, is he even hearing me? Am I like doing it right? Or like, am I even speaking to him? And so I think that was like a big thing, or like still is a thing, that like I'm don't receive those like instant like gifts or things that I was like praying about. And so like that can be difficult sometimes. And when I was trying to figure out like what verse would go with this, I like came across Jeremiah 29:11, and it says, like Pastor Frank said earlier, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." It's kind of a different version than what Pastor Frank read, but that's the gist of it. So like even when it seems like God isn't doing anything, he's working behind the scenes. So either like when you're praying for him or when you're praying to him, or like even when you're not, he's continuously working and giving us resources and like doing things for us. Not that like he has to or anything, but he is, and he's gonna like give us those things in order to like be successful later on in life. And so I think that was like a really big like step in my faith journey, just like know that he's like there and he's always like working for us. And another thing was, it's kind of like silly, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of, I guess, obvious to some people, but I like had an epiphany one day, and I think it was high school. And I realized that like kind of going off of that, like God is going to be like is the only person that's going to be there for us no matter what, and like we can always like go to him whenever, even when we make mistakes, even when we like have messed up, or even when we're feeling sad or down. He's the only person we can go to like whenever. Like friends and family are like important for that, but like God just like understands everything, and he's like all knowing and all loving, and like you can just like go to him whenever. So like I feel like that was a step in my faith journey that I was like, wow, like this is pretty cool. Like I felt like growing up, like he was always kind of perceived as like third third party, or like this being more than, instead of like a friend or like someone we can go to, or like someone we can rely on, or whenever we're feeling down or sad, it was always like, oh yeah, he's just kind of there for you instead of like a friend or like a person to go to. So I feel like that's how I feel like my relationship is with God now, because I had that epiphany. um, and I would say now I'm more spiritual and religious. So I've like probably gotten more spiritual. I never was like super religious, like had all these Bible verses like memorized and all that, but I've always obviously gone to church and stuff like that. Excuse me. And to me, that means like knowing there is a higher power, whether that is like God, and that's mainly what I believe, but I feel like there has to be like other things, not to get too like woo, but I feel like there are like other things that are like controlling the universe. I don't know, that sounds a little bit weird, but like God is, well, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I believe that everything happens for a reason, whether it's God's plan or just like that's the way the universe is working it out. And I've also always said that like you don't have to go to church to be religious. So like God's not gonna like check off if you go to church on Sunday. Yes, that's a great way to like secure your faith, and obviously I still go to church basically every Sunday, and I have, but I never thought that was like for me at least, like I don't have to like go to church and memorize all these verses and like do all these things to have a relationship with God, because I can pray and I can do things on my own, and each person has their own individual relationship with God and the church, whether they know it or not, whether they pray or not, whether they go to church or not. So I think that's also important for not just like us that we go to church, but like for everyone to know like it's not scary. And like some people get like Christianity, Catholicism like shoved down their throats when they're younger, and then they like stray away from it and then maybe come back. So I feel like a good balance of the church and a relationship with God is good, like for like a steady relationship later on. But yeah, I know this is kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to touch on some of the things that I've learned on my faith journey and some of the things that are important to me now, because I've never really had to think about it that much, and I've never really talked about it. So I just want to thank Pastor Frank and you guys for giving me a space to think and work through my thoughts about my faith journey, because I think that's also an important step, is to share what you've been through to others as well. That's all I have today. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Vivian. That was so refreshing and so natural, you know. I really liked your testimony. And is it true? I don't know how I know this, but is it true that that epiphany came in the shower or something like that? Was that what happened?
Yeah, I had that in my notes because I distinctly remember it. You know, like when you're thinking deep thoughts in the shower. Yes, happened in the shower one day, and it just stuck with me ever since.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, God can, meet you anywhere and everywhere, even in the shower. And those moments of spiritual awakening or spiritual epiphany, they're just priceless, and they shape your whole life. And I had those in my life as well. And so thank you for that encouraging and inspirational word. Sometimes we just go back to those moments because they're defining moments of our faith. And we have to, in difficult times, we have to just go back to those moments and remind ourselves, and then it's like, oh yeah, I remember that, and they can give us strength, especially in those rough times. So wow, thank you so much, Vivian. That was really great. I'm seeing Marty Jenkins is here, and he had a birthday this past week. So congratulations, happy birthday belatedly, Marty. Do you want to share any words of wisdom?
I have no wisdom, Frank. But thank you for remembering my birthday.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're my best buddy. So yeah, so too bad you're not sharing any of your priceless jewels of wisdom. I know you have them,
I saved them for you on the pickleball court.
Okay. Okay, sounds like a plan. Do we have any other joys or other concerns that we want to share?